Shalom everybody. Today's video is very special. I get many requests to discuss the third school of Kabbalah. As you may know, there are three essential schools. The first is Maasit, or the workings of creation. This mainly deals with the theological understandings of Kabbalah. The second school is Maasit Merkava, or Maasit Merkavot, in which the workings of the chariot are discussed. It is also known as the meditative school. It primarily deals with altered states of consciousness and navigation through those altered states of consciousness. The third school is called Kabbalah Maasit, workings. This school, sometimes known as matter manipulation, is the root and source origin for essentially all Western occult and esoteric systems of magic. Although they have all derived themselves from Kabbalah Maasit, the term magic doesn't quite capture the true understanding of Kabbalah Maasit. A closer rendition to a term might be Theurgy, or God working. However, rarely is it ever spoken of, and most whom speak about it don't speak about it genuinely, whether or not it is for lack of information or just ignorance. That being said, this video will be discussing perhaps the first glimpse in the Western world of some of the keys and understandings behind this mysterious school of thought. So with that being said, let us begin. While reading sefers such as Sefer Yetzirah here and others, you may have come across glyphs or sigils representing planets and melachs or angels. As we can see a list here of angels with planetary associations. What are these and how did they come about? We see here it says figure 43, seals of the planets from Even HaShochem. Now the Sefer Even HaShochem, we see at the top it says the Kabbalah of the prophets. Now this particular Sefer, of course, was originally a manuscript, and the tradition states that it was passed down from Eliyahu HaNavi to this day. Now we can see at the end of the Sefer here glimpses of the original manuscript from which it was derived, and we do in fact see these glyphs. Now how were these glyphs formed? What is their significance, and why would they be in such a Sefer? Our first key is going to come in the understanding of a process called magic squares. Many people may be familiar with the concept of magic squares. We see roughly a square in which all sides of the square have the same value. This one, for example, is the square associated to the planet Mars. In addition to the 7 planets each having a square, there is also a square to each of the sephirot, and they go all the way up to a 20 by 20 square. We see here this interesting glyph, which, if we return to a Sefer Yetzirah, we see that this glyph is associated with Samael and the planet Mars. What is about to be revealed is not even revealed in the Sefer itself, but for the first time in history, it will be made known here. I ascended into the heavenly yeshivot, and I asked the question in regards to these sigils. We see here it says Kochev Ma'adim, or the planet Mars, and we see the glyph. By taking this glyph and placing it inside of the planetary square of Mars, we find something miraculous. The Sefer itself does not give instruction to do this, nor is it said to do this anywhere else, and there is no Sefer that reveals the process of how this is done, except for the tome that was shown at the beginning of this video. By taking the seal of Samael and placing it into the square of Mars, we'll find that each of these are numbers. 1 plus 3 plus 5, Aleph Gimel Hey, plus 11 plus 21, Yud Aleph Kaf Aleph, Zain, which is 7, Tet, which is 9, Yud Zain, which is 17, Yud Gimel, which is 13, Yud Tes, which is 19, and Kaf Hey, which is 25. 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 11 plus 21 plus 7 plus 9 plus 17 plus 13 plus 19 plus 25 is 131. 131 is the numerical value of Samael. Samael is associated with Ma'adim, or Mars, being that Ma'adim, or Mars, is the sphere of Gevurah, and Samael is also associated with the sphere of Gevurah. And so we find our first key. How was it derived? Now, in other wondrous manuscripts, such as the one that we are currently viewing now, Foel Nefalot, or Wonder Workings, we also see a list of sigils or seals as they relate to the angels. We can see them here. And here we find Samael again. This time, however, we see a different seal. How was this seal formed and created? The answer is to be found inside of this tome. Here is the planet Mars. We find that all of the 7 planets take the form of the tree of life, the shape of the planetary symbols themselves. We find in the square of Mars, as we learned from Aven HaShochem, the secret of the first seal regarding Samael. However, there in Philo Nephalot, the manuscript, we find a different seal. Again, by placing the seal inside of the planetary square of Mars, we find 7 plus 13 plus 19 plus 9 plus 17 plus 23 plus 20 plus 21 plus 2 is the numerical value of Samael, or 131. Thus we see why our sages preserved these very special seals and why they are used in Kabbalah Maasit, theurgical workings. We see here another strange glyph. For example, the sun we see this glyph or sigil and its association with the Melech Raphael. Again, by returning to the square of the sun and placing in the seal of Raphael, the numerical value of the numbers in which this seal encompasses is the value Raphael. As can be shown here. Reiterating, this Sefer does not describe the process that is being revealed. These secrets have never been openly revealed, and there is no Sefer that contains them. As explained before, I ascended into the heavenly yeshivot and asked the question regarding these sigils, being in awe and knowing very well that all of these markings were sacred and very important, that they should be preserved by our sages and prophets. Now, as we can see, in this school was the root of all of the magical glyphs, which are various ciphers as they relate to the Lashon HaKodesh, each one having a varying but very important special purpose. They were attributed to various angels. Every angel had its own script, as we can see here. This is the script for Metatron. Many people may be familiar with this if they've done any research regarding the theurgical arts or magical arts. It was also involved with various seals, as may be seen in the Keys of Solomon. These particular are not in the Keys of Solomon. However, the entire framework and system of the Keys of Solomon originates from Hebrew manuscripts according to all of them. There were different seals used to do different things. Some of them are segulot, some of them are kameot, and some of them are conjuration. Now, this third school is considered to be a closed practice, requiring various instruments to be made with special seals and divine names, etc. However, it certainly exists and is a part of the Kabbalistic schools of thought. What is before us here are the Keys of Solomon. Many are familiar with this Sefer, as the entire Western esoteric occult tradition is formulated and based upon this particular text. Regarding the history of this text, it was found one of the head rabbis in London's possession. After passing away, his son discovered the text. He later went to move into publication. It was published in the early 20th century. Many of you may have seen these seals, and we can see Yom Aleph, day 1. This particular seal is associated with Michael. When studying the Key of Solomon as it relates to the Western esoteric tradition, the one that is readily available, you will find varying seals, such as these, representing the angels. In fact, these exact seals are to be found in one of the Sefers, altered only ever so slightly. We see many seals attributed to varying angels and processes as we go throughout the Sefer. This particular version, accordingly, was limited only to 100 copies. And differs greatly from the version of the Seals of Solomon the Western esoteric tradition has access to. Though some may recognize some of these seals, such as those that appear in the upper key, as shown here. Now I'll briefly go through and share with you all some of the other secrets regarding this wondrous tradition of Kabbalah Maasit. A momentous sefer called Shorshei HaShemos, or the roots of the names of holiness, goes into great detail regarding the uses of various names of Hashem, various names of Melachs, verses, etc. to perform wonder workings. We can see various magical squares being employed, each containing various divine names, their purposes, various kameot and segulot, some simple and some very complex, employing the use of the 42-letter name, various seals, as can be seen. And this tradition is still held to this very day. If one finds themselves in the Holy Land, for example, you may come across some of these. This particular one here is often stricken in gold. There are angels over the days of the week, of the month, varying ministers from grade to grade, over the hours of both day and night, ministers over the planets and the metals that they are associated with, and of course the various magical scripts which are associated with the angels, as we can see here, as being associated here with Michael and Gabriel, the hosts of heaven, Noriel. In addition, each one of the Sefirot are associated with a different circle. Starting from the top, Keter is 1 point, Chokmah is 2 lines, Bina is 3, Chesed is 4, Gevura is 5, Tiferet is 6, etc. And this process continues. And these various circles are used with the various melachs or angels that are attributed or associated with them. Now again, this is a closed practice, and it is forbidden to make use of them, although it is not forbidden to understand or study them, as can be shown here, until we get all the way to Malchus, which is by 10. Then also attributed to each world, etc. There are also various seals, times, hours, as mentioned before. And all of these things are used in the various operations. Many are probably familiar with things such as the upper key, which have their roots, each one attributed to various planetary signs, which would tell you the hours in which to make or use them, including incredible things such as found with the angels of Raziel Hamelach. Many are probably familiar with Sefer Raziel. There, a series of angels are shown to us. In addition, a series of glyphs and symbols. Those glyphs and symbols, in truth, are the glyphs and symbols of the angels that are listed there. In addition, they make use of the 72-letter name of God, which form various angels, and each of those angels, in turn, have seals and glyphs, each of which are employed in the practical operations. Down to the various moon phases, in which coincide with the 28 times mentioned by Solomon. These 28 moon phases, which coincide with these 28 times, are the secret of 28 different angels. There are seals and glyphs, as shown here. And we just saw these in our Key of Solomon. And some from our manuscripts like Philo-Nephalot. Also employing the 42-letter name of God, which form 42 seraphim and 42 ophanim, being also given to the days of the week. In addition, there is also a qlipothic other side, which deals with the same, though this should be enough to suffice. And we can see that each one of the planetary seals, again, are formed from the Tree of Life. So I will draw a conclusion here. Here's but a brief introduction as to the workings and understandings of Kabbalah Maasit, tracing some of its roots and uses and employments throughout history, seeing it here in its original forms. The entire Western esoteric tradition dealing with the Seals of Solomon was appropriated out of Hebrew manuscripts. It is a part of the Jewish tradition. It has been taken from and culturally appropriated. A glimpse of it, hopefully here, has been restored. Many more deeper esoteric things could have been said or shown. However, some things are not fitting to be revealed in such a public domain. With that being said, if you would like to see more videos regarding this type of content, perhaps sharing some of the other safers that deal with these things, seeing them in the original language, etc., leave a comment down below and perhaps it will happen. With that being said, Shabbat is soon upon us, so Shabbat Shalom. Happy New Year's. Shalom, Selah.